When something is so mouth-wateringly juicy, so satisfyingly crispy, so perfectly hand-breaded that you just want it all to yourself, you don't have to share, but it'd be a lot cooler if you did. The new Zax Pack for 2. With 8 chicken fingers, double the fries, 2 drinks, and that world-famous Zax sauce. Twice the flavor for just $14.99. Only at Zaxby's. Try it with fried pickles for a limited time. Order ahead, drive-thru, or get it delivered.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, proudly presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good. The 2-pack for 2, the family 4-pack, those deals still running. Take advantage of it while you can. It's a fantastic deal. Feed the people you love and care about. Feed your mind. Feed your soul. Go to warchant.com. Use the promo code WARCHANT30 for 30 free days of access to the ultimate Seminole sports source. If you're listening to the show on YouTube, you can thank Corey for going to the upper recesses of YouTube and telling them to stop running commercials every 3 minutes. It should be back to a normal sort of flow. Hit the thumbs up button if you're listening to this on YouTube. It matters. I mean, just help your boy out. Hit a little button. Keep me afloat. I'd appreciate it. Corey.
Keep us both in a job, right?
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. That would be pretty sweet. Hey, how are you, man? How are you doing, Corey?
I mean, I'm doing okay, Aslan. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Hanging in there. I'm recording Yellowstone right now. They debut on Sunday nights. I missed the 9 o'clock showing because my power went out in Tallahassee. It was a little bit of a scary episode. Me losing the power, that is. So I'm recording the 10 o'clock replay. Dude, I kid you not, we're going to get to a lot of Florida State talk. I promise you, everybody. I just want to rant on this real quick, but not too long, because then it would be ironic if I did take too much time to get to the Florida State aspect of the show. Dude, like Paramount Networks, which airs Yellowstone, legitimately airs 6-minute, 7-minute commercial breaks. It's unreal. Like I was fast forwarding through it. I counted 16 ads one time in between, whatever parts of the show. It's absurd.
So that's like our stuff on YouTube was.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's where we got it from. That's where we took our cue from Paramount.
I learned it by watching you.
Right.
All right. So in the world of Florida State, a little couple news and notes. I guess really the only news and note is that Deontay Williams, son of Alfonso Williams, if I'm not mistaken.
Alley Cat, yeah.
Has arrived in Tallahassee, tweeting out late Sunday night, feels good to be back home in Tally. Palm tree emoji. So he's here. I think that's everybody except for the tight end from UCLA that has arrived on campus here at Florida State. I will learn his name once he catches a pass. I just think it'll be funny. I will just refer to him as the tight end from UCLA. Even when he dons the garnet and gold, it'll still just be the guy from UCLA because I just haven't committed. I think his name is Jordan. I don't know what his last name is. There's all these Jordans, it all confuses me. But that's what's going on in the world there. Otherwise, we're not going to get too much into any sort of, health talk. People don't like that sort of stuff. Although, Corey, I was observing on Sunday, the MLS, literally 30 minutes before kickoff, canceled the game because it turns out a player had tested positive for COVID. But I guess since then, he's had a couple negatives, which is crazy. Actually, I shouldn't say that. That's me opining. I don't want to opine on these things. But they're going to play the game at 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So I guess that's kind of reassuring because, again, we're all bracing for the fact that these people are going to get it. It's just you can't shut everything down. You just have to mitigate it and forge ahead, which sounds like they're doing. So I guess maybe that's an encouraging thing. Does that buoy you at all, Corey, or do you not have enough background to make a distinction?
Yeah, I don't have enough background. It's hard to get. I've been buoyed a few times throughout this process, but mostly it's just my heart sinking every time I turn on Twitter. Yeah. To the point where Sunday. Now I was at a baseball tournament I feel like I was there for 6 days, but I didn't check Twitter once. It's just when do you ever roll through Twitter or Facebook if you're not looking at cat posts or dog posts.
Right.
When is it ever good news? When does it ever make you smile? When is it ever good news? It's always just, it's always almost nausea. So I just avoided it today is what I did.
I did see something from Bloomberg Opinion about, I guess there's some, whatever that remdesivir drug or whatever is something like 67% cut into the mortality of this thing. So even though the high numbers are out there, maybe we've got a better idea of how to treat this thing. So that's a positive, uplifting thing I saw on Twitter. So let that nourish your soul, Corey Clark.
All right, man. Great. That's good to hear.
Your column that you wrote this past weekend about Florida State and Florida perhaps not being able to renew their annual rivalry because of the Big Ten sort of approach, as well as the Pac-12 to go ahead and do conference only, came to the forefront when we recorded on Thursday. We thought maybe the ACC would follow suit. They still might, but apparently they're going to stand pat, as is the SEC and the Big 12. I probably should have done a more thorough reading of your column so that I could pick it apart, which I take great joy in doing that.
I know you do.
But, I'm sure your point probably rings true just about if you're going to be able to play football games. I guess I would assume part of your argument, and it's a valid one, would be if Florida State can get on a plane and fly to Syracuse, New York to play the Orange, well then why can't they have their neighbors to the south get on a bus and drive 2.5 hours north to play a football game? To which I say, touche. I don't really have a good counter. I feel like the season is just on such a tenuous, hanging in the balance sort of state right now that I'm like, and I get it, like it really wouldn't complicate things all that much, but it's still like you're adding in a variable when it's like, all right, we're just going to do conference only. Everybody play conference only. Good. All right, good. We'll see y'all later. I just feel like that's just like an easy, clean way to just get this thing going, and that's what I ultimately want. But I guess logistically it wouldn't be that difficult to do it, but I just don't want to risk anything at this point. But your argument, I guess,
and to be honest I don't think I brought up the travel at all. I mean, I just think that's kind of understood. Like, we get it. Like, we all know where Gainesville is in relation to, like, Boston or Winston-Salem. The whole point was that, like I told you, or we said we did on the happy hour on Friday, like, none of these other conferences deal with this. They don't deal. The ACC and the SEC are the only two conferences that have, like, traditional in-state rivalries where the two teams aren't in the same conference. Yep. Arizona State, Oregon State, Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, Oklahoma. Those are all
Bedlam. Oklahoma State.
Yeah, those are all conference games.
But Cyhawk though, Corey.
But yeah, you got the Iowa State, which I'll be honest, if it's not wrestling, I ain't watching. I only care about Iowa State when they're on the map, buddy. I think that's what most of that state feels like.
Yeah, maybe we can get A&M and Texas to start playing each other again out of this.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, but so that was really my point was, look, nobody's made more money for this conference than Florida State and Clemson, by far, hands down. They are the marquee programs. Take if they really want, and maybe there is a chance that the Florida State administration is like, you know what, it's all right if we don't have the Florida game this year. We want them in 2021. We want them to come back here when people can actually be in the stadium, all of them. Yeah. Or when, you know what I mean?
Right.
Where it's not this, perverted, shortened season.
Oh, don't be cynical.
I don't know.
Corey.
Perverted wasn't the word I was looking for there. I think I was thinking of something else.
Oh, hey,
when
we're talking about the Gators, which is only natural.
Oh, right. What do you think? Yeah, when you think of just Gainesville and Gene
gross.
Shore, you know how it is. It's just you start thinking about things. So that was my main point. Is like it's not hard to tell everybody in the conference. Look, Pitt, Boston College, Wake. You guys got 8 games or 9 games. You're going to have a 9-game schedule this year, and that's it. That's a wrap. These other 4 teams are going to have an extra game if they want one, because we worked it out with the SEC commissioner. We worked it out with Sankey. All those schools are an hour away, 2 hours away at most, and those fans really want it, and they deserve it. Louisville, Kentucky matters to one state, but it does matter. And then obviously there's Georgia Tech, which Georgia Tech probably will be like, yeah, we're cool. But Florida State, and Clemson, South Carolina, if you can do it, try your hardest to do it. Don't just say the easy way out is we're doing a non-conference schedule, because like you said, it is hard to explain to anyone. Wait, so you're going to let them go to Syracuse or Raleigh.
Or Florida go to Columbia, Missouri, which is very...
Yeah, or College Station. I don't know. They probably don't play the Aggies this year. But that can happen. But going 2.5 hours on a bus, we're not going to do that if we're really worried about the safety of the players. So I do think, and the good thing is we all know the SEC, it matters to them. So I do think they will want to do right by South Carolina, Georgia, Kentucky, and Florida and have those games if they can. More than anything, the SEC should try to do it. The Florida, I'm sure, will be lobbying for it. Like, yes, absolutely. We'll go travel to Tallahassee this year when there'll be 9 people in the stands. That's great. And then they get to come back in 2021 where we'll have 86,000.
Would they, though? I mean, like, Florida, I think, is kind of like a dark horse playoff team. And, like, why would they sign up for an extra game? Like, could you imagine the 2014 Florida State team having to play one more game? It's like, absolutely not, man. Just get us to the finish line, please. I think they'd have to work it out to where everybody gets, like, one, Power 5.
Well, that's the problem. That's when it can't happen. It can't happen. Like, it just has to be a
Corey, I don't
+1.
even know if I'd want to say, as a Florida State fan, like, sign me up for a Florida game at the end of the year. Who knows?
Maybe not. You might not. I think that especially if people are allowed in the stadium, even 10 or 20,000, it's going to be such an abnormal, goofy season anyway. If you can make this work, try to make it work. If Florida State wants to have this game, if Florida wants to have this game, if Clemson wants to play South Carolina, let it happen. It's good for the sport. We'll see where we are in November. Heck, you could start the season with it. Who cares? But try to do it. Try to do right by these schools. Don't just because the ACC is headquartered and where we know where it's headquartered, and those schools in that state, all their rivals are in the state, are in the conference. So they don't have to. Who does North Carolina play out of conference that anybody ever cares about? Yeah. Nobody. Duke plays Army. Like, there's no games that those schools care about non-conference. But that doesn't mean that your constituents in the conference don't have games that matter. So try to take care of the 2 big boys if they want it. Again, that's an if. But if they want it, try to make that happen. It's not you can do it. There can be some critical thought. And I do think that's certainly on the table that they'll try that. And I've read from multiple reporters, I think Pat Dooley at the Gainesville Sun said if they're playing football this year, Florida and Florida State are definitely playing. I think the will be there to have these in-state non-conference games for these 4 schools, these 8 schools, 4 in each conference. And if Pitt has a problem with it, like I said on the happy hour, all right, go to the Big East, man. Boston College, you have a problem not getting a 9th or 10th game? Sorry. Be good at anything, ever. Make $1 for this conference, and then we'll consider your gripe. Until then, zip it and go win some hockey championships.
Man, wow.
That's right. I came off the top rope. I'm punch drunk. I've been at a ballpark for, I believe, 13 hours, and I'm just shooting from the hip, Aslan.
Clearly, just foregoing and just laying waste to all of our alliances and our fellow conference members, all for the sake of playing one game. It's one time. We just can't sit out. 1 year we can't take a break. God forbid.
I don't care. I don't think it's like, we got to keep. It's going to be the 57th game time in a row they played Florida. I don't care about that.
It's a Sunshine State showdown, man.
It's the
Florida Orange.
The Florida Orange Sunshine State showdown. Yeah, that just rolls right off the tongue. That's like Bedlam. That's probably a better nickname than Bedlam.
All right, some of these.
Hey, can I say this though, real
Absolutely.
quick?
It's your show. It's your show too, man.
If there isn't, and I'm not putting this out in the world, I don't even want to say it. There's going to be a college football season.
There we go.
But if it gets delayed, say till the spring, again, we don't want that. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But if it does, I talked to Ira. We are going to try to put together a documentary on the 90s Florida State rivalry. We've got to figure it out. We're going to do it. That's going to be my mission in the fall, is to put that together.
Yeah, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. Really would be good to get some good stuff out of Coach Bowden. I don't know how much, how sharp his recall is of those games and whatnot. Because if you would do it, you'd have to obviously get him and Spurrier to talk about it. And Spurrier is just going to lay it on thick and have all these zingers. And then, old Bobby's going to probably be a little more, tranquil, a little more laid back in his sort of assessment of things. But, yeah, man. It'll be tough because we don't have the rights to any of those games, but we could always just pull it off YouTube and just not, monetize it. Just do something good for the people, just for posterity's sake, educational purposes.
Yeah, we could do something like that. We can make it happen. I'm just going to get your buddy Dallin at ESPN, right? He's got to know some people. Let's pitch this thing.
All right. Yeah, shoot, ACC Network. Could you run it?
Yeah.
Which actually, I'll transition to this question from the Renegade Express this past weekend that we didn't get to. We'll do a fresh one on Friday. We'll also probably do a live call-in show probably Tuesday and then adapt it into a Wednesday podcast. But anyhow, Danny P26, gentlemen, I have been watching YouTube TV lately, and I have seen the ACC Network show all kinds of games with FSU losing or FSU not even being shown for days on end. Why the blatant disrespect from the ACC Network, and what do we have to do for the ACC to either start taking us seriously or letting us go? We have been too good to this Bush League conference for too long. We have given them national championships in plenty of sports outside of basketball. It's time for them to pay up and acknowledge FSU as a major member that should be respected and revered. If not, let us go somewhere where we can be appreciated. Thoughts?
How about the warchant.com Twitter account throwing some shade at the ACC Network a few days ago? Did you see that?
That was strong. It
was the people that don't follow Warchant on Twitter, or if maybe you're smart not on Twitter. That's a joke, folks. You need to be on Twitter because you need to follow Warchant, and you need to follow myself and Aslan and the great Irish Ophel, Gene, the whole gang, Langston. We're all out there. But the ACC Network tweeted out, I think it was the ACC Network. It might have been the ACC Digital Network. Whoever it was tweeted out, what was the exact? It was like, which one of these
4 sacks was your favorite? From Greg Rousseau or whatever this past.
Yeah, which one of these 4 sacks against Florida State by Greg Rousseau was your favorite? Which is just like you couldn't get him sacking like somebody from Central Michigan. But anyway, you just have to. It has to be like blowing up Miami to downgrade Florida State. But anyway, the warchant.com account retweeted it and said, "Oh, good question. Also, which one of the Miami ACC football championships was your favorite?" Oh, wait. So little dig at the Canes.
Burn.
Yep.
Feel
that's how we roll at Warchant. We keep the ACC on their toes. Look, the ACC Network has some issues. For the people in Tallahassee that don't get to watch it, you're not missing a ton. Some of it's good, but yeah, there's the problem when you're like when Duke in basketball, like. You go to every school in this conference, and some of their most memorable wins, and the ones they always talk about, and I'm sure they get shown, are when they upset Duke and everybody rushes the floor. That's just the nature when you're the big dog. That's the nature of being the big dog in a conference, is when you want to show one of NC State's great football wins. Well, what are you going to show when they beat Wake in 2011, when literally you can't name a single person on either one of those teams? Nobody cares about that. But when you beat Florida State, that is a memorable moment. So I think that plays into it too. I'm not going to say that the ACC completely disrespects Florida State all the time. It's a weird relationship, though. Like, yeah, man, Florida State has done so much for the conference, and it doesn't always appear. And again, I'm biased. I pay attention more than I pay attention to what they do for Florida State, whether it's showing games or what they tweet, more than I do what they say for Boston College or Wake or NC State or whatever. But it does seem like they take a few more shots than you would expect for a program and a school that has done so much for the conference.
The original tweet was, which of Gregory Rousseau's 4, in all caps, 4 sacks versus FSU gets you most pumped? Flex emoji, you emoji, hashtag it's all about the you. And then the Warchant account retweeted, alternate question, which of Miami's ACC football championships gets you most pumped? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Burn.
And they have been in the league. How long have they been in the league? 15 years?
Yeah, 2005.
16 years?
Was it?
And they had, it's either 15 or 16, right?
Was the first one, was the Muff the first game, or was it 2004?
I can't remember if it was the overtime game that was moved because of the hurricane when Florida State lost, or if it was the Muff game. But it's one of those two. So either way, they've been in the league for a decade and a half. And they've
longer than Brady's been on this earth.
Right. And Brady has as many ACC championships. And has come as close. Like, they've only been in one conference championship game.
2004, by the way. It was 2004.
It was 2004. So they're coming up on their 16th year, or 17th year, whatever it is. I know we're in 2020, but I think they played 15 ACC seasons, right? Or 16. It doesn't matter. Guys, you don't listen to me for math.
Miami's terrible. End of story.
But yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. They've only been in one championship game, conference championship game, and again, they're not playing. They play in the Coastal.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on, man.
Well, they got kind of. Well, didn't they actually win the Coastal in 12? But they were Nevin Shapiro'd, so they.
I think they
Georgia
may be
Tech.
tied. I think they may be tied for the Coastal. And maybe they would have gone.
I thought they were supposed to make it, but they had to sit it out, and then we got Georgia Tech and that Charles Kellett defense.
Don't have Nevin Shapiro rolling around your program.
Yeah.
It's not like they were innocent bystanders there. They were the ones that had. What they name? Did they name something after them on campus, like the cafeteria or something?
No, it was like the Nevin Shapiro Success Center or something. I think like it's now the Jonathan Vilma Success Center.
Right. Well, that's better.
Actually, so Friday before we did the happy hour, I went out golfing with. Turns out like a kid that I went to high school with, good dude. That my college roommate is really good friends with, and he's been living in Tallahassee for a while, and I should have touched base with him before. But he and his father are big-time Cane fans. I think his dad might have gone to Miami. I'm not 100% sure. The son didn't go, though, because, who goes to Miami? But I'm like, what's it like being a Miami fan? And, like, they thought I was, like, patronizing them. And I'm like, no, but, like, what are your expectations? As a Miami fan for the last 5 years, what are your preseason expectations? They're like, we just want to win the ACC. We just compete to win the ACC, and then if you do that, you're all good. And, like, I didn't want to push them too much on it. Maybe I will the next time I go golfing with them. It's like, do you mean, like, win the Coastal? Because that's reasonable. Like, have you guys thought that you could beat Clemson the last 4 years? Because there's no way they would have. They would have got wiped off the map. They had them 1 year, and they got freaking dragged.
Right.
Like Rick's first season or whatever down in Coral Gables or Miami Gardens.
Yeah, that was the only time they made the championship game, right?
Yeah,
it was. Yeah. And they got steamrolled.
But back to Danny P26, what can we do? I was watching Shawshank Redemption on Sunday. Maybe you guys should pull like a page out of the Andy Dufresne playbook. Maybe find 10 other Florida State fans that feel this way, or get the sort of anger and the angst when they see the 97 NC State game on or whatever, or 98 rather, sorry. Start writing a letter. Like every week, write a letter, send it to the ACC conference office, and, just see what happens. Andy Dufresne sent a letter every single week, and like within a year, they gave him all this free stuff. So surely, if you just keep sending them letters in the mail every day, every week, maybe they'll like devote a whole day to Florida State and delete some of those games. Who needs to have the 2002 Louisville Florida State game hanging around? Yeah, just delete that. Send it away.
Sure. Yeah. There was a lot of ways I thought you were going to go when you brought up Shawshank. I didn't see that one coming.
That's what I do, man.
Out of left field, but that's what makes you you.
I zig when you think I'm going to zag.
Absolutely.
That is how I try to roll. It just, you talk about this documentary about the Gators that we should do, and it's when have we taken the soul from those programs? Like Miami's taken the soul out of us a few times. Like Florida has taken the soul out of us a few times. And in no way am I envious of these other programs. I think you could probably argue that maybe, with Miami with 5 rings, but I'm not going to get into that. In no way, shape, or form in any metric do I think you put Florida State and Florida head-to-head and say that Florida's a better program, or you'd rather have that job, or you'd rather wear that hideous jersey, or, put your arms around some other weird dude and sway back and forth in the fourth quarter. Like, there's nothing about it that I'm envious of. Though,
go ahead.
they've hurt, man. They've cut us. They've taken part of our heart out every now and then. Like, have we done that to them? I can't really think of it.
Miami, not so much. Florida, yeah. When you have a 28-point lead in a fourth quarter and don't win,
you're right.
That hurts. And then when Peter Warwick runs in, Snoop Minnis scores in '99.
No, but
the 98 game. I mean, they've done it. They have done it. The 90 game, like they did a lot of hurting.
I get 98 with Rooster, choke and doke. Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah,
that hurts. I don't know if choke and doke takes away your soul. 98 backup quarterback. Would Florida have been in the BCS had they won that game?
You know what? Yeah, because all those other schools lost. So
Yeah.
I think, UCLA lost to Miami. And then Kansas State lost A&M. I do think that Florida only had one loss going into that game. So I do think that Florida sneaks in.
Okay.
If they do that. Yeah, I mean, Miami's been different, though. Like, I think I would say Miami, look, man, that 14 game, that crushed them.
Yeah.
They had Jameis Winston's thrown an interception right to a linebacker who deflects it to Carlos Williams for a touchdown.
Yeah, that hurt then.
Dalvin Cook scores with a minute and a half left and flashes the 305 in their end zone at them. Yeah. That was they don't have they didn't keep Miami from winning national championships, but from like 14 to really a lot of the years, a lot of that winning streak, the 7-game winning streak, those were crushers. The blocked extra point.
I think those are different levels.
They're different because they're not keeping you from a national championship. But I was at those games, and I saw the Miami fans' reactions. They didn't handle it. They didn't handle it with grace. They were pretty upset about it because they're like, I think that was the 7th time they'd lost in a row to Florida State, and it was because of a blocked PAT, and that was a Florida State defense that had just given up 1 million points.
Yeah.
And for them to come out and win that game. That was that was a heartbreaker. They beat them with Everett Golson. They beat them in 14 when they were down 16-0 in that game and came back and won. 2011 up in Tallahassee. 2010 when Chris Thompson was running. I think there have been a lot of times where they've really crushed their spirits lately with Miami. But Florida, I think the spirit crushers were more. It's hard, it's hard when like one of the teams is really good and one isn't. Yeah. But still, Miami had a chance to beat Jameis Winston in that streak. And then Jalen Ramsey intercepts a pass, and that's a wrap. And that's a tough one, man. Those people were not fired up walking out of that. There weren't a lot of people like, yeah, well, we played well. They were really, really upset. I saw what the parking lot looked like afterwards. It looked like Fallujah. It was just debris and chaos everywhere. And so it was a real, those were some heartbreakers for Miami. So that should make Florida State fans feel all right.
Florida was 9-1 and ranked number 4 in the nation heading into that game in '98.
So what was Florida State 3?
Florida State was 5.
Okay.
Yeah, 10-1. So number 1, the AP poll was Tennessee 1. They were 9-0.
Right.
Kansas State 10-0,
right.
Number 2. UCLA was 3rd at 9-0. Florida was 9-1. Florida State was 5th, 10-1.
Yeah. So if Florida wins that game, they play Tennessee for the national championship, right?
All right, there we go. All right, that's that.
And they played Tennessee obviously earlier that year, and Tennessee beat them. But it was like a game where Florida had 530 yards. But only like 16 points or something crazy. They outgained Tennessee by like 200 yards, but lost. So they would have felt real confident playing that Tennessee team again in the Fiesta Bowl. So Florida State the Rooster and Peter Warwick and the throw to Dugans and that shake and the dude dropping, that might have cost Florida a national championship. And it kept Spurrier from ever winning in Doak.
I feel much better now.
There you go. It happened, man.
Snowman 613, if plans to play real games fall apart, could we bridge this gap with more skills and strength competitions, pro and collegiate? Think wide world of sports format from the 80s. Less personal interaction, risk of spread, but still high-level athletes spotlighting their talents. Definitely better than nothing.
Yeah, if they're like when ESPN did the horse thing. Like, okay, look, they tried. Kudos for trying. Yeah. Kudos for trying to give us something.
Get some shots.
But it was awful. I would have rather watched
esports. You'd rather some esports.
I was going to say I'd have rather watched like you and Ira take competing baths. Just like bubble baths. Okay. Like it would have been more entertaining than watching Trae Young shoot 18-footers from on a garage hoop.
off a cell phone, like a grainy
Yeah,
cell
off
phone.
a cell phone.
Camera.
It was just crazy. So if they can, I wouldn't mind them doing something like that. If they can, like, go to Florida State for a day and just watch, like, time all the kids running 40s. Like, time all, like have a skills competition just at a school. The ACC Network could do that. I would watch that. Like, have them do their combine stuff.
Yeah, but then you go like, I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to risk it.
I don't think they do that kind of stuff. I don't think they do that, or just like, who can run the fastest, who can jump the highest, how many backflips can somebody do? Like anything that's athletic, I would love to watch. But I want them to be competing against each other, next to each other on the actual field, not from an iPhone hundreds of miles away.
Well, yeah, because it needs to be like you can't have somebody throwing a ball in an IPF and then somebody throwing a ball outdoors with like the wind behind him to see who's got the strongest arm and like who carries the furthest. Yeah, that'd be cool. It's not going to happen, but that'd be great. Like the Olympics, like the ACC Olympics, and then you send like your 10 best guys, whoever can get the most on the bench. Your highest jumper. Maybe you do like a tug of war. Maybe 3-legged race. Make it field day-esque. Give it a little bit of that childhood charm. I'm all in on that.
Yeah, you could do a field day. You could have a tug of war. Yeah, the tug of war. You could do sack races.
Yeah,
the 3-legged stuff. Who could throw the football the furthest?
Are you repeating me? Like, are you patronizing me, or did you not hear what I said?
No, I was actually looking at a text, and I didn't. I guess you planted all that in my brain. Okay. But I didn't know that you had said it.
I literally said all of that. I literally said.
You said the 3-legged race too?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Oh. Well,
AES 117. Wake up! How's it going, gentlemen? What a time we are living in. I might be crazy, but this slow trickle of info is making it feel more and more like the season might not happen. Ouch. Either way, let's act like it will, and we'll play NC State in October. Okay, you make the rules. Well, we'll do it. My comment question is about the quarterback situation. It's amazing to me how many fans have become expert talent scouts during this offseason and decided Chubba Purdy is the answer to our woes at the position. Do you all really think, based on the very limited tape of him playing against relatively subpar competition in Arizona, that he is ready to start on day one? Or do you think his best attribute is that he is not James Blackman? I worry that people are too quick to throw away a known entity for a mystery box without really evaluating the decision. I'm worried that if Norvell selects Blackman to start, that he will automatically lose the confidence of a lot of fans. Do you all share this fear? As for Blackman's confidence, I think he can come back. Confidence doesn't go away forever. Look at my man Brooks, bouncing back from 5 over on the front to 3 under on the back 9 in Ohio the other day. Okay, a little bit of tack on me, a little passive-aggressive subtweet in there. I like your style, AES117. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it's his best attribute that he's not James Blackman, but I think that's why people are excited. Corey, you've said about it, if James Blackman is thrown out there game one, whether that's West Virginia and Atlanta, or if it's Doak Campbell against NC State, or no, in Raleigh against NC State October 3rd, not a lot of Florida State fans are going to be going crazy. But that doesn't matter. I mean, you people matter. Your feelings matter. All fans matter. But that doesn't affect the way he's going to play, I don't think, or the way Terry's going to run routes, or the way Baselli's going to call out blocking. So, yeah, that's overblown.
No, it doesn't. And it also, it's fandom. It's what happens. People have seen a lot of him. People weren't fired up to see another year of Drew Weatherford. And they didn't. Ponder won the job. But if they'd have run Weatherford out there and he would have played well right away, well, yeah, man, people are going to be excited. They're not – Florida State fans aren't active, most anyway. I'm sure there's a few weirdos that want Blackman to fail so they can be right. We talk about those people. Their opinions don't matter. But most every Florida State fan, even if they don't think James Blackman should be the quarterback, they're still going to high-five their buddies if he throws a touchdown pass. Yeah. They're still going to be excited if he leads a game-winning drive. Like, that's just fandom. He can win over the entire fan base if he plays well. I think most fans just don't expect him to play well because they have a lot of evidence of that. But that does not mean it can't happen. People turn their careers around all the time. Look at Aslan. 3 years ago, where were you? Like, you were in Dothan.
Dothan, Alabama, bro.
Look at you now, buddy. You turned your career around.
Second banana to the best guy on. Dude, the guys I play with that were Miami fans were like, so what's it like working with Corey? I'm like, hey man, he's Corey Clark. It's not like it's not Mitch Albom. It's not like I'm co-hosting with Mike Lupica. It's not Mike Wilbon.
Hey, it's better than all those guys.
But then they started dogging like pretty much everybody else on the beat. It was kind of funny.
Oh, that's fun.
But they're Miami
Hey, by the
fans,
way, quick shout out. I don't know if he listens. I know he's a Warchant subscriber. His name is Kevin. I'm almost sure his name is Kevin.
Okay.
He saw me at the park the other day. His kid was one of the travel ball teams, and I guess he heard me. I was probably yelling at Brady about something. And he's like, hey, not yelling, like,
words of encouragement.
Get off the bag. Get off the bag, or I'm going to hit you with a shovel. It wasn't one of those. But yelling at him to, like, throw his trash away. And he's like, oh, is that? He goes, I thought that was you. You're Corey Clark, right? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, and I swear his name was Kevin. And I'm not going to say his last name. I do remember the last name, though, for sure. But his kid was one of the travel ball teams, and he said he wanted to make a point of saying how much he enjoyed the show, how much he enjoyed me at Warchant, and how much, I think he said he listened to the show a lot. So I'm sure he's a big fan of yours, too.
It's probably talking about headlines.
And he works, I'm not going to say exactly what he does, but he works for he gave me like a big pen. Like this, nice. I don't know what you'd call it. I guess it's just a pin, right? A pendant. It's like a pendant.
Oh, okay.
It's like the size of, it's like a silver dollar, the size of a silver dollar, right. And it's a Department of Homeland Security pendant.
Oh, look, we got friends in high places, man. Let's
go.
I know.
So how awesome is that, man? That was really cool. It was really. What was a bummer though is I'm always trying to tell all the parents of the travel ball team what a big deal I am and how they should respect me more. And none of them were around me when he came up. So I had to go back and relay the story to everyone to tell them how big a deal I was.
Well, have Steph hang out on your hip so she can, corroborate these sort of things.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah, nobody was there. It was just me talking to him. But he's a very nice guy and very complimentary of the website and of the show and just of what we do.
All right. Well, that's good to know. I was going on a heater here.
Sorry, I just completely interrupted you.
Well, I mean, don't be that sorry. I mean, what do I really have to say that adds value to the show?
Hey, fair point.
I'm just over this whole, here we go, man, playing against relatively subpar competition in Arizona. That just needs to stop. I think let's stop with our snobbery of our football here. I know it's prideful for a lot of people, but man, just because they're not playing in a state that, pays their head coaches $160,000 and gives them a free Hemi diesel, whatever, dually truck. It doesn't mean that they're not playing high-level football. Listen, man, for a while, the West Coast kind of had it locked down when it came to quarterbacks. Like the Pac-12 was the place that the best quarterbacks in the nation played, and kids from California were your best sort of options at that position. Now, I know he's from Arizona, but so is a kid from Southern Cal that uprooted JT Daniels. Like, JT Daniels was the cat's meow at Southern Cal, the first ever true freshman I think that ever started for SC, and then he goes down. This Keaton Slovis kid comes in, who's from Scottsdale, Arizona, 3-star quarterback, 16th pro-style quarterback in the nation, and pretty much, carries SC to a respectable finish of their season, and JT Daniels sees the writing on the wall. He's like, all right, I'm out of here. And I'm not going to say we, I'm not going to put Corey in this boat, but I'm sort of, pounding the pavement, telling Mike Norvell, sign this kid just for, if anything, just to kind of make a splash on the nationwide landscape that, hey, Florida State's back. They're a serious contender. They got a kid from Southern Cal coming to compete for the quarterback position. And so this kid, Keaton Slovis from Arizona, from subpar Scottsdale, Arizona, sent that kid packing. So let's not kind of just, underestimate kids because they're not from Florida, because they're not from Georgia, because they're not from Hueytown, Alabama.
Yeah, man, Trayon Harris played for the best high school in the country. He was the quarterback at Miami Northwestern, which they face great competition all the time. Ja'Cory Harris, he might have been from the same school. Did they both go to Northwestern?
I think so. I'll check it out.
Yeah, they neither one of them turned out to be great college quarterbacks. Now, I get that it is not Florida competition or Georgia competition, but that if you can play, you can play. Whether it's Arizona, Minnesota, Florida State had a Heisman quarterback. Minnesota's known for a lot of things. High school football isn't one of them, and they had a Heisman winner from Minnesota. Miami won a national championship with a quarterback from Minnesota. So you can't just solely judge that. Like, if you can play, you can play. And from all accounts, the kid can play. His brother can certainly play. Iowa State's not kicking him away because he played against, quote unquote, subpar competition in Arizona. So it's never a sure thing. None of this is ever a sure thing. Just like the draft isn't a sure thing. None of these college quarterbacks are sure things in the draft. Well, none of these high school quarterbacks are sure things in college.
Feather in the cap for Corey Clark can also add recruiting analyst expert to the resume, to the business card. Yeah, Corey Harris did go to Northwestern. Look at you.
Oh, there you go. Did Trayon Harris too?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. 2 for 2, buddy. I did it. I did. Trayon Harris, a former FSU commit.
He was, yeah.
Yep. Well,
it was great. It was the Manchurian candidate. Then Jimbo's like, yeah, you can go to Florida. Go to Florida.
Yeah, prove me wrong, man.
I mean,
come on, put it. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I take it back. No, Trayon Harris, Booker
Did he
T.
go
Washington.
to Devontae's?
Trayon Harris went to Booker T. Washington. I apologize.
He went
everybody.
to Washington?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I was wrong. Sorry, but either way, the point remains they were from Miami, Florida, which is probably the most talent-rich area in the country for high school recruits, and they didn't really parlay that into great college success. Like it wasn't a precursor, it wasn't a harbinger of things to come because they won championships at a Miami high school, and I think Trayon won a championship at Booker T. Or I could be wrong. Hey, you know what? Look it up, guys.
So yeah, I'm worried about Norvell selecting Blackman will make the fans lose confidence, or make him lose confidence because of the fans. I don't know. I mean, do you assess it all? The other quarterbacks
if Blackman
Go ahead.
But
sorry.
if Blackman wins games, then the confidence will return quickly. No. Like I just think that there is a chance that James Blackman wins the job and wins games, and then people will be all on board. And if he doesn't play well, I don't think Norvell's going to be adverse to sitting him. So, I think Chubba will play, but what do I know? It's just a hunch. It's not a fact.
I'm trying to look this up. I'm going to defend the great state of Arizona. I don't even know what the nickname of Arizona is. What's Arizona?
Are they the Grand Canyon State?
The Grand. Okay, I'll go with that. That sounds pretty legit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andres Pete. Remember Andres Pete? That was Trickett went hard off after that kid. He was a 5-star tackle. Ended up going to Stanford. He's from Arizona. He's from Chandler, Arizona.
Okay.
So they're out there. And the last thing I'll say on that topic, though, is there might be certain positions. Like when it comes to the South, I think your defensive players, I think the size-speed combo that we have in the Southeast is pretty much second to none. But I do
also think at the line of scrimmage, in some of these schools and some of these places, certainly where I live up here in Gwinnett County, some of these offensive linemen are enormous, and so are the defensive linemen. So you get to see them against better competition. I think that probably is a better indicator of what they're going to do at the next level. But again, it's not a guarantee. I don't know that Michael Orr played at a private school in Tennessee against 180-pound private school kids. And he didn't play any competition at all, and he was a first-round pick and an All-American. So you can't always judge just on the competition.
Right. Though I would just say that I think offensively, when it comes to skill position guys, I think you shouldn't be that dismissive of what they do on the West Coast. I think if anything, they've been ahead of the curve when it's been on the 7-on-7 stuff. 7-on-7's only really caught on in the Southeast in the last, 8 years or so. 2012 or so is when it really kind of started taking root here. But they've been doing 11 or 7-on-7 stuff on the West Coast for a while. So it's a good thing. I'll take skill position guys perhaps over their Southeastern counterpart. But yeah, when it comes to you give me a blind sort of stat, a 6'5", 320-pound tackle from Arizona versus Florida, I'll probably take the Florida guy. Right now, I think I just saw that one of the top guys on Florida State's board, at least at defensive end, is a kid from Indianapolis, Kyron Montgomery, 4-star, weak side defensive end, 6'5", 240, the number 8 defensive end in the nation, and it's between Florida State, Missouri, and Minnesota. So, maybe the staff is going to other places of the country that we're not used to seeing, which is kind of fun and kind of cool. Let's see if these things work out, because if anything, this season happens, it will be encouraging. The bonus of seeing a guy like maybe Chubba starting and doing well is this staff showing their ability to evaluate talent, because that's what Jimbo did so well off the jump. and this staff is going to kind of have to do at least for probably another 6-7 months. Even if there are games, if they win, things will kind of start falling into place. But man, it'd be nice to see some of these, some of this new blood that they brought in kind of help patch some holes to give not only the fan base but also show recruits like, hey, if Florida State's recruiting you, it's not just the name that you should be excited about. It's a coaching staff that can identify kids that are talented. So let's all root for that, shall we, Corey?
Amen, brother. Amen.
All right. Man, that's all I've got in the tank. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to rant or talk about, Corey, that we didn't talk about. Do you have any second thoughts now, marinating over the weekend about this whole non-conference stuff for the Big Ten and the Pac-12? Does it mean anything, or are we any closer, any further away from playing a season? I don't want to wait, man. I'm just happy that somebody made the decision, because I know the SEC says they want to be patient. The ACC wants to be patient. And I know you kind of poked fun at these conferences making a decision on July 8th. But I just feel like, man, we're not talking about like a golf cart that we're driving here. Like we got like an ocean liner. This thing's going to take a long time to mobilize and coordinate. So the sooner that someone figures something out, the better off we all are.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's inevitable that it's going to happen. I think right now they are obviously coming up with all the protocols and guidelines to how this is going to work. That's what they say they're going to make a decision by like July 30th or something for fall sports.
I don't think they've ever said a number. They've said late July.
Late July. Okay, yeah. So as late as can be, July 30th. Right. And so they got whatever it is now, 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks. They're putting everything in place. So when they do unveil it, they will have thought of everything. They're going to have the guidelines for the testing. They're going to have, standards that each team has to hit as far as cases or whatever they're going to be. I think that's what they're doing right now is figuring all that out. And instead of because I don't think the Big Ten's made any other announcements other than it's going to be a non-conference only schedule, right? Like they haven't said anything about the testing. They haven't said if the schedule changes, right? Right. When it starts.
But I think by saying that, though, Corey, this gives them now the only thing they're worried about now is making that work.
Well, no, but I think the ACC, I guess I just assume that the ACC is doing that too.
Both.
But they are going to unleash it all at once. They are not going to just make the decision on July 30th and then say, all right, now check back in 3 weeks when we figure out how we're going to do this. I think they're figuring out how they're going to do it right now. So when they do make the announcement, they're going to be boom, 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 boom. Here's how it's going to work. Here's when the season is going to start. Here's how many tests you have to take and all that. I think that's why they're doing that. I think they're working behind the scenes right now on a non-conference only schedule as hard as the Big Ten is. It's just they haven't made it official yet.
I don't want to.
Or hey, you know what? Maybe they're playing West Virginia in Atlanta, September 5th, buddy.
I don't want to play the pod thing though. That to me, the home and home thing, like we put five.
Yeah, no.
That to me, no.
And Notre Dame, I'm going to say it again. You want 9 games this year? Join the conference, big boy. Otherwise, sit it out. Go see if you can get Tulane to play you 9 times. All's I'm saying.
Because yeah, I mean, like if the SEC even tries to like Notre Dame doesn't have a dance partner. I mean, the Pac-12. I mean, right. I think they usually play Stanford. Now, they play Stanford.
Yeah, they play Stanford and USC every year.
Yeah, so those are like 2 games that they just lost there.
Yeah.
And then obviously if the ACC turns and goes conference only, then like they're going to have, I mean, what are they going to do? I mean, at that point they're going to have to try to like elbow into the Big 12 and the SEC. And like, why would you, if you're LSU, if you're Oklahoma State, like why would you want to put Notre Dame on your schedule, especially if you can't have fans in the stands?
Right.
Like why put a pretty tough opponent on your schedule and risk losing a game and maybe shooting yourself in the foot when you're trying to squeeze into this playoff. But at the same time, like I'm like receptive to Notre Dame. Like I don't want to do you're probably on the right side of this in terms of like driving a hard bargain with them. I think this is like a velvet hammer. Like, bring them into the conversation. Like, let's try to figure this out. We don't want you to make this decision under duress. But like, think about it. It makes sense now. Come on, Jack Swarbrick. I mean, that really helps the brand. Like, if Notre Dame is part of this, and we could talk all the smack we want about Notre Dame, it still carries some pretty good cachet. Like, if they could get Notre Dame on board, that would be a really big coup. dare I
Yeah,
say.
it would, and it would make a lot of money for all the conferences. And Notre Dame has plenty of money as it is. But I was going to say they could spread it out a little. They could be nice. But they already had the Wisconsin game canceled. I think they were going to play Wisconsin in Green Bay, and they've already had the Stanford game canceled. I guess they weren't going to, and USC's canceled. So
Right.
they've already had 3 games on their schedule canceled.
Yeah.
Their other games are at Navy, Arkansas, Western Michigan. Good luck with that. And then all the other ones are ACC games. Wake Forest, Pitt, Duke, Clemson, Georgia Tech, and Louisville. They were going to play
6 ACC games.
Yeah. They're going to play 6 ACC games. Well, man, you're a member. Florida State only plays 8. So, I mean, literally half of their schedule is ACC games. And if the ACC said, you know what? If you don't join the conference right now, you are not going to play a football game. You're not going to play football this season. Then you're going to be left with Western Michigan and Navy. And Arkansas might play you.
But then
That's it. And Arkansas is not going to play you because they're not going to make any money.
I guess the concern
nobody's
is
come to the game.
If you're Notre Dame, I guess maybe like what you have more money than God that you can just sit out the year. Then like, all right, we're not going to do it. Like it's not
I
worth.
don't think they do that. Yeah, I mean, you could call their bluff. And I'm honest with you. I don't know how much more money because it ain't like the ACC's rolling in the dough since Notre Dame joined, even as a part-time member.
Yeah.
I don't know maybe it would be so low without Notre Dame that you have to have them even for 3 games. You're going to have 3 games on your network. You have to have that. But I just don't see how that's possible. Like I just don't. Clemson and Florida State are big names. It would not appear just looking at the TV numbers that Notre Dame is making a bunch of money for this university, right? They're like
this
4th out of
conference,
5, right? Sorry, out of this for this conference.
But they got that NBC contract, so for them to like either forfeit some of that money or have to put it into a pool where other ACC teams get it just for one season, it might be worth for them to be like, all right, fine, we just won't play then, and we'll be back in 2021. You know what, ACC, we don't even need your 6 games anymore. So I mean, you talk about calling bluffs. I don't know who's got more leverage in that sort of situation. Because to your point, I'm sure Notre Dame's obviously hasn't made the ACC flush with cash, but I'm sure it makes a little bit of a difference.
No, I do. It definitely makes a difference. I just don't know. There's no way because the numbers are always kind of private.
Right.
There's no way to really quantify how much money they make for the university. Obviously, it's better for the ACC if 6 of their teams are getting to play Notre Dame and 3 of them get to host Notre Dame. It's good for those schools. But how much money has Florida State made off Notre Dame since they joined the league? I don't know. I don't know how to even quantify that. Yeah. But Notre Dame in this year is going, if this works out the way we hope it does, Notre Dame's going to have an entire football season because the ACC is like, yeah, okay, you get to play a full conference schedule this season. So, yeah, the ACC better get some of that NBC money. Otherwise, NBC wouldn't have a product. Those games are going to be at home. They're going to be NBC games. But the only reason they get to have them at all is because they're in the conference. So, yeah, Notre Dame better share some of that money. Or the ACC can go tell them to have a nice day and have fun playing Western Michigan.
All right, last thing before we get out of here. I probably should have said this earlier when I was stalling because I didn't know what to talk about. It was a really good thread on Warchant. Entitled, That One Game You Wish You Did Not Attend. A lot of answers on there. I was the first one to drop 2004 Florida, which is crazy. I can't believe it took that long.
Dagger.
I mean, I was like the 67th reply on there. You know what somebody said? And again, it's the one game you wish you did not attend. So it's not the biggest gut punch, the most heartbreaking loss. It's like the game you actually were at. And somebody, I think 1996 Noel is the guy's name, her name, 2001 North Carolina. No one ever talks about that game, right? We never talk about it.
And it was so out of number one, it was the first game after 9/11.
Yeah.
And it was so out of nowhere because I think it wasn't the first game of the season, right?
Third game.
Opened up.
We smoked Duke. We beat UAB.
Right. Yeah. And it was such an odd season because it was a lot of question marks for Florida State. They lost a ton of talent off the 2000 team. Anquan got hurt in the preseason. Ricks was starting as a redshirt freshman. But it was still Florida State. You assume that Florida State team was going to be like what we think now of an Alabama team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, yeah, sure, Alabama lost 16 guys to the NFL. They're just going to reload. They're going to be awesome again this year. That's how we assumed Florida State was going to be. And they started off the season doing Florida State things. And then you watch that game and you're like, oh, no. This isn't this isn't normal. And this isn't like a one-game blip. There are real issues with this team. And as we would soon find out, there were real issues within the program. But yeah, that was it was like, what was it, 40-9, 47-9? Wasn't it a huge blowout?
I accidentally went to 2000. Yeah, I had it up. I thought it was. I'm going to pull up the actual number here while I stall again because I'm not good at hosting a freaking podcast because why does it go to 41-9?
Julius Peppers was on that team, and that North Carolina team I think was they might have been 0-2 when that game was played, and they just weren't good. That was a big upset. And it's a weird moment, but it was a moment where I was like, you know what? Ricks might not be the answer. And I shouldn't say that. I mean, there's a lot of reasons that he ended up not being great, but the awareness of, he threw a long touchdown pass in that game. I think they were down like 21-9 or something. And he throws like a 75-yard touchdown pass. They show him like sprinting down the field, pumping his arms, high stepping, going crazy. Oh, wait, there's a flag. There was holding on the play, and it's coming back. And at that moment, I remember thinking, man, I'd like it if my quarterback would look around to see if there's a flag on the field. Like, just a quick glance. Like, you do that as a fan, right?
Yeah.
Every big play, every time Dalvin broke a run, you look back and say, is there any yellow on the field?
I remember against Clemson 2015, the first touchdown they scored against Clemson, the bar I was at went absolutely nuts. I'm like, wait, it's holding. It's coming back, it's holding. Because there was a flag, but it wasn't holding.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And you would be like, man, the quarterback didn't think to just take a quick glance to see if there was yellow on the ground. That's where I was like, oh, boy, that was it legitimately angered me that he didn't think to look if there was a flag on the play. You know what's crazy? And I don't remember anything about this game. I don't remember anything about most of these games that we talk about, unfortunately. They were actually up at half. They were up 9-7 at halftime. Were they really? Yeah. And then do the math. 34 unanswered points. That's correct, right, Corey? Those 34 unanswered? You said it right. You said it correctly, yeah. There we go. Here are some quotes from Bobby Bowden. I haven't even got a speech for this. They got what they deserved, a win. We got what we deserved, a loss. We're not good enough to play like this. This team has to decide what it wants to do. I didn't see anything that resembled poise. I didn't see any execution. I think it was a complete breakdown. They were a 17-point underdog. They were 0-3 going into that game. Yeah, they had lost. I just opened up that same story. They had lost to Oklahoma and Texas, who were number 3 and number 5. Yeah. So, that was nothing to be ashamed of there. But, yeah, nobody saw that coming. Yeah. Oh, yeah, so here it is right here. Florida State never seemed to recover after an 85-yard touchdown pass from Ricks to Javon Walker was called back because of a holding penalty with 6:23 left in the third. That's crazy. I still remember that. But I do. I love you, man. That's awesome. Was 20-9. They were down 20-9. He throws an 85-yard touchdown pass and literally sprints 85 yards to the end zone to go hop on Javon Walker's back and then has to jog all the way back to the other end of the field because it was called back. Oh, man. As much as that hurts, I still would want to live it. I want a football game. I want a football season. Hopefully I would do anything to watch any of the teams that I write about or cheer for lose 41-9. Anything. All right, that's a wrap on the show today. Again, we'll be back later on this week, either Tuesday or Wednesday live on YouTube, taking your phone calls and comments. And then we'll do a Renegade Express edition of the program on Friday. And then again, who knows? We might have to pop in and do a show any day this week. We will be able to. We're that nimble and that agile if the news does come down from the ACC about what they plan to do for the fall. Stay connected with the podcast and with warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks so much for listening to the program. We'll catch up with you all later.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.